5 tips for better long exposure photography. Here we go. Hey, this is Scott Weidenkibowitz, a storyteller with a camera talking about all the things photographers like you and I are thinking about. And in this video, we're going to be talking about long exposure photography and how to make better long exposure photos. You may or may not know, but I wrote a book, an ebook on long exposure photography a few years back, and it is an evergreen thing. It's an evergreen topic. It's something that doesn't really change much. So if you don't already have that ebook, go check it out, scottwyden.com/ebooks. But in the meantime, here's some tips for better long exposure photographs. Tip number 1, cover that darn viewfinder. Now, if you are using a mirrorless camera, you don't have to worry about this because there's no mirror for the light to reflect off of and go up into your viewfinder, and it's not a problem with mirrorless. But if you're using a DSLR, cover your darn viewfinder. Most DSLR cameras come with a viewfinder cover. If yours does not, or if you cannot find yours, a little bit of black gaffers tape can go a long way. Or a t-shirt. Throw a t-shirt over your camera. Not your lens, just your camera. Next up is actually covering the ports of your camera. If your camera is not weather sealed for water to get through, that means that light can also get through where water can get through. So be sure to cover any ports. That means if you have rubber seals, put those over and make sure that they're secured in place. If your camera has the rubber seals removed for whatever reason, or if there's plastic and not rubber, or if for whatever reason you just have no port covering at all, then gaffers tape. Gaffers tape can be a really good friend because any little bit of light going into that camera can impact a long exposure, especially as you get to like hour exposures. If you're using screw-on filters and for whatever reason there's a gap between them, maybe one's a little bent and you don't have the money to replace a filter, because ND filters are kind of expensive, then again, gaffers tape can be your best friend. If you're doubling up ND filters and they're screw-on filters and there's a gap, just wrap some gaffers tape around the filters. That'll block the light. Black gaffers tape, of course. I've shared this numerous times. I have an entire video about this, but mirror lockup. Mirror lockup, every single DSLR camera has mirror lockup. Now, mirrorless cameras, again, do not have this problem because there's no mirror to lock up. If you're doing long exposure and it's very long, like hour-long exposure, and that mirror goes up, it's causing a little bit of vibration. So by putting your DSLR in mirror lockup mode, again, not relevant for mirrorless, then you are actually completely removing the ability for that mirror to cause any vibration when it goes like that inside of the camera body. Now, up until now, I've talked all about camera bodies, but now this last tip, the 5th piece of advice I have for you for better long exposure photography, is related to the lens. Okay, in some systems, it's actually still the camera body, but image stabilizer, vibration control, vibration reduction, whatever your company, your camera brand calls it, they're all basically the same thing. Some have it in the lenses, some have it in the bodies, some have it in both. Either way, newer cameras, like the newer Nikon cameras and the newer Canon cameras, are getting smarter and smarter, recognizing when the camera is still, completely still on a tripod. And when that happens, they tend to turn off the vibration control, the image stabilizer, the vibration reduction, whatever, again, they call it. Now, it doesn't actually show you that it's off, but many times they do disable it. To be safe, whenever your camera is on a tripod, especially for long exposures, turn off that vibration reduction. Just turn it off. Image stabilizer can actually, if it runs when your camera's on a tripod, can actually impede on your long exposure, causing its own blur. Because now those gyros are moving, trying to stabilize for something that's already stabilized. So there you go, 5 really important tips for better long exposure photographs. Hop to it. Again, scottwyden.com/ebook if you want to download the ebook, or scottwyden.com/courses if you want to access my long exposure photography course. Just head over there. Or just join the dojo, $10 a month. See ya.